Hey, what is up everybody? Blades for here to have for you guys another video of Persona 5X. Inside today's video, guys, we're going to be doing a video for the new players here. Yeah, a lot of you guys recently just started the game, so a lot of you guys want to have a ton of questions that I'm going to be here to actually answer here. Some of these questions are going to pertain to these here right now that I'm going to go over, and that is, what should you summon for here? What should you pick out of your tickets, both the 1.3, I want the 1.0 to the 3.0 one, and then of course the other one that we can also get out of the exchange shop. That's also going to be covered today. And then what should you primarily focus on as a new player? So if these are questions, or maybe even more questions that you have, I might be able to answer them in this video and help a lot of you guys out, because we've had a lot of you guys join the Discord. We have a lot of you guys pay attention to the shorts, as well as come onto my videos and actually ask me a lot of questions. So I'm gonna try and at least solve as many of those as possible. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So when it comes to playing a new player, you are going to be bombarded with a lot, and I mean a lot of events, a lot of things in your face here, especially after you get through with the story. But don't worry, there's going to be a few things that you guys immediately want to pay attention to. And the first thing that I would like to say a lot of you guys want to pay attention to is your mail. Immediately once you start the game, of course, once you get this little icon pop up, aka the mail icon, you want to click this. Reason being is because one of these selections, which I got to go ahead and find this for you guys, should end up giving you the little ticket selector. Now this is something that you guys are going to want to pay attention to, which I actually need to find it here. There it is. This is primarily going to be the one that you want to focus into, because this is going to set up your account the right way. Now this ticket here goes from 1.0 to 3.0. How you're going to actually decide what to get out of here is pretty darn easy here, especially if you're a new player. There's only really two things that you really want to summon on, unless of course you just want whatever, then do what you wish. As for starting your account off the right way here, I would highly, and I mean this really much truly, highly advise you guys to go ahead and get Futaba. Okay, Futaba is a oracle, I'm sorry, not an oracle, a Navi that a ton of you guys will be using for a secondary team and or a first team here. That will be fairly helpful. Now some questions of why you want this here, because some people of course see the new character being Ange, who also is a navigator. Why should I get Futaba? Well, inside this game, you're going to end up using two teams, and that's usually going to be for the SOS side of things, as well as there's just going to be teams that you want to go ahead and utilize other navigators for. Futaba herself particularly helps out in the defense down category here, as well as helping you out with the offensive things, being at least crit rates and crit damage type functions. This is going to be a really good Navi to have, especially if your characters are really crit oriented, and also if you need to use, at least utilize defense down more than you need to utilize pin. So on just more on the pin rate type of side, which is also fairly helpful, but those are going to be for more of the really tanky type bosses, the in-game type bosses, where it's going to be longer fights and it's going to be harder to take down, because pin is going to scale very wildly with that. So I mean, like, Oracle is more or less going to be your wannabe choice. Now of course, this is if you're going for like anything like meta stuff like that, you will go for this character. But the first thing at the top of your list, go ahead and get someone that you actually genuinely like, right? If you genuinely like someone and you don't want to go for meta, pick them over that. Okay, we want to have fun, of course, at all times. That is going to be your favorite thing to do. Now on the off chance, if you already don't want to get at least another Navi here, you can go for a DPS. DPS, I would at least go ahead and advise it's going to be Haru at the top of the list, seeing that she is absolutely amazing. Mott Figure Skater, reason for this one is because she actually has two forms, being an ice form and a wind form, wind being her damage side and ice being her sustained side. So if you ever are having a little bit of problems, you can kind of switch it up with two different teams with this character, all built in one. That's actually going to be very helpful. And then for the last choice, you can pretty much just pick whoever you want. But if we really wanted to talk about DPS sides here, at A0, I would definitely advise Makoto, because Makoto is actually fairly useful, especially if she's at A0. You can just easily go summon for her 5-star weapon. But now you've chose your character, right? Whether you went for meta, which is going to be the navigator, being Futaba, or if you went for a DPS or just whoever you went, what else should you do? Where should you go with this? Well, the secondary thing that a lot of you guys want to go ahead and pay attention to is going to be this icon at the top. Now this icon is going to be different for at least new players here. You're going to have this, at least this sign in here, and it's going to give you a ton of things. One of those things that you're going to get are 80 of these tickets. It should be on your first day, which if we go back, you guys can see what I got. And this is going to be 80 of these and a ton of different material. With this in mind here, these 80 tickets are going to give you your next character. So go ahead and go here. You should be able to get another one of these. Now, for if you're a brand new account, anything like that, like absolutely brand new, after the 14 days is up, you actually will get a second one of these. So I'll go ahead and actually tell you guys what you want to go ahead and get. So your first one, immediately, since you do have this array of characters, your first idea should be able to get Cord. Cord here is the absolute best buffer, or not buffer, sorry, supporter in the game currently, seeing that she's actually able to help you build your highlights and get some very astonishing buffs out of the deal as well. Seeing you're going to get 2 of these, you could go ahead and get A1 Cord out of this, which is all a new account really does need and truly will set you up for the game. Or you can go with a DPS pick out of this, or whoever you want out of this. At the end of the day, this was actually going to be your first one that I would highly advise getting Cord out of. It's an easy character to get for free, and she helps immensely in your route to doing so. Another reason why I kind of advise getting at least the Navigator and getting Cord out of this is because as you're a new player, you're actually able to do the standard banner, which gives you a 30 picker as well, in which you can get on out of there. On herself is a really helpful DPS, of being a fire DPS, and she is freaking amazing. You can get through all of the content, including the newer content that just released, with that character, as long as you have a decent team revolved around her. So it kind of justifies the reasoning that you really want to go ahead and just go for these characters as well. But hey, we want to play this game for fun. So if you don't, of course, want Cord or want those suggestions, pick whoever you like. But you got your one character. After your 14 days are up here, which you want to check this daily, or at least check this daily till 14 days, you're going to get another one. Choose whoever you want, or get another Cord dupe, which is what I would highly advise. Now, what do you do from here? Where do I go? Well, as I did say, you're going to get a lot of pulls, or at least you're going to get some pulls here. Next thing that you want to go ahead and try to focus on is usually getting this character here, because getting like this character immediately is going to give you another Navigator, and she is the anniversary character, so it's going to be really helpful. Then of course, I would advise you to try and get her 4-star. Her 5-star is not necessary, like most characters aren't, but they are really good. But some 5-stars that you guys could very well go for here, if you wanted to get like Cord's 5-star and stuff like that, because you will need their weapons later on. This first slot is what is going to give you whatever you need. Pretty much with this first slot, you can choose any limited character out of here. So being, if you need Haru's Wep, you can get it out of here. If you need Cord's Wep, you can get it out of here. And let's say, of course, you went for Smoko as well. If you need any of these limited characters weapons, including, of course, Futaba's, you can get it out of here, out of this first slot. The other 2 have to be at least standard characters, so don't worry too much about this. But through your journey of at least going through the game, of course, you're going to be paying attention to this little selection, or to these banners quite often, which will help you out when it comes down to summoning your characters. If you don't know the difference between these 2 banners as well, 50/50 banner has higher rates, lower pity being 80. Then of course you have the guaranteed banner, has lower rates, higher pity, but you get the character guaranteed. So let's say you failed the 50/50, that's 80 down the drain. Of course, you fail, you go again to like 70 or 80, that could be 160 pulls just for your guaranteed character. While if you just straight up did the guarantee, it would be 110 for your character guaranteed. So you guys kind of get the gist of things. But we're gonna go ahead and just skip a little bit over that here. Now you've done everything I've said. You've gotten your characters, you've gotten your account kind of sealed, or at least settled. What do you do from here? Well, the next thing that a lot of you guys want to go ahead and do is first upgrade your characters. Try to upgrade them. You're gonna get boosted to maybe like level 30 on the first day or something like that. Try to upgrade your characters to their max as well as their weapons. This is gonna help you out, because then it's gonna make like going past any of the content, such as like the Palace 1 and a little bit of Palace 2, pretty quickly. To put this in retrospect, when it comes down to at least the palaces here, and we're going to press the metaverse option down there to the bottom right, you'll find your palaces kind of here. When it comes down to at least the first 2 palaces here, which is the first one right there and the second one being here, you technically didn't have level 35 till midway through this palace, which was like, I want to say, I think we got to this function here. Yeah, this function, Tenshu Bottom, where a lot of people were just now hitting 35 at the beginning of the game, right? You guys are already going to start off on this, so the first palace and second palace should be very easy. My number 1 thing to tell you guys is try to get through your palaces as good as possible. 100% the mugs if you possibly can, and try your best to get through those palaces. Reason to do this is because you get actually a ton of gems and you get a ton of different little rewards just by doing so. To check out the rewards that you want to go ahead and look at, be sure to go into the palace or wherever palace you're in, click this little function right there, and it'll tell you whatever you need to know. Of course, it tells you all of these things that are within the palace, and then you can see all the actual info that you need, or at least the prizes that you gain from getting the exploration up. The more your exploration you get up here, the better rewards you get, more EXP, and so on. This is going to be fairly helpful as a new player, so if you're going ahead and just focusing on your palaces first, this will come out in handy fairly easily. Now, I feel like a lot of you guys do take this for granted, but 100%ing the exploration areas is going to be very good for you guys. It will set you up for a huge track of just absolutely continue with the game and not having an issue. So I highly do suggest you guys to do so. Now, what happens if you get stuck inside the palace? What if you can't progress anymore? What do you do then? Well, the one thing I would advise you guys to go ahead and do immediately is mementos. Mementos is a huge part of this game as well, and which is kind of limited currently, but you want to go ahead and do as much of this as possible. Some of the fights are gimmicky for the mini bosses. They also come with a lot of different little mobs and stuff like here that you can get a ton of gems for, as well as a ton of materials. If you ever feel like that you don't have enough materials or you're stuck at a point in the palace, go ahead and grind mementos out. It's going to be fairly helpful for a lot of you guys and will keep you on the right track. I feel like this is the one thing that a lot of people kind of downplay a little bit too much as well, and it's going to help you out, especially in the long run. So surely do keep that in mind. Now, we went over palaces, we went over mementos. Is there anything else you should try to focus on, at least as a new player? Well, one of the few things, of course, immediately, your stamina is going to be capped out. You're going to get a lot of stamina bottles. I wouldn't suggest using your stamina bottles not early on. You probably want to save those for level 70, level 80, which is fairly easy to do, especially with the anniversary happening right now. You want to save as many as those possible. So with your current elite stamina that's going to be maxed out, what do you use it on? One of the few things that I will tell you guys to go ahead and use your stamina on is going to immediately be personas. Now, personas, you only want one of each of them at first at the beginning. Reason for this is because you need to at least register them in the compendium. The more you have in your compendium, which you will be able to find with this little icon here, this will actually lead you to this little library, of course, the Velvet Room. Once you go to the compendium here, the more personas you make, the more, of course, these little inspiration things you get. With these said inspiration things that you end up having here, this is going to help you get up your characters as much as possible, or at least help you get up Wonder, who utterly boosts your entire team. Whatever level he goes up with, at least the compendium here, it absolutely does contribute to all of these little traits here, which is going to be fairly helpful. If you guys want more into at least what does Wonder do and what to invest in, be sure to check out the video. It should be on my most recent videos. I want to say the last week or two, where I tell you guys how to build Wonder, exactly what skill traits and then what all his weapons do. Check that out as well. It's going to help you out a lot when it comes down to helping out Wonder. Seeing this man is kind of a little bit of a wild card with what he can do, besides of course DPS. So I mean, you get at least a supporter and defender role out of the guy. So keep that in mind. But now you've went through those things. You went through at least the compendium. You started getting at least personas to help upgrade your Wonder. Is there anything else you should focus on? Well, my dear Watson, yes, you should. Okay, there are a few other things that you go ahead and focus on here. And one of the other most important things is actually going to be your side quests. Every time you go up levels and things of that nature, I want to say this is kind of like the final thing as well. If you finished everything, or at least you started to get through things and you're starting to get stuck, what do you do next? Well, that would be the side quest. Usually you can be on the all function or even just the side function here, and there will be a list of freaking quests here. Don't let this overwhelm you. There are going to be a lot of them, of course, but they're not as hard as you think. Some of them are actually confidant meetups, and others are actual different missions that you need to do. By doing these said things, of course, it's going to help you out by a lot here, and I do advise a lot of you guys to go ahead and do this as well. It's going to come in handy quite a lot for at least some EXP, some gems, and more rewards. So surely do this as well. As we went over everything that could be kind of most of you guys' questions, I'm pretty sure there's some other things that you guys probably want to know. I think this is the main things that you really need to focus on. So if there are other questions, be sure to tell me down below in the comment section, but I think these are the main points that a lot of you guys should really be paying attention to, and that's all I can really go over for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I am sorry for a little bit of lack of breath. I'm not really feeling good today, but we had to power through it for you guys. So look forward to other content later on. I have another video that most likely will be going up today, so look forward to that. But till then, everybody, peace out.